From the moment we are born, the world tends to have a box already built for us to fit inside. Our umbilical cord never seems to be severed, we only find new needs to fill. If we disconnected and severed our attachments, would we shatter our confinements and expand beyond our shell? Would the world look different? Would we recognize ourselves? Are we the box that we are inside? And to be authentically uncontained, would we still be able to exist? This is the irony of containment. As long as we don't push on the walls of our surroundings, we may never know how strong we really are. Paige Bradley: to be a miracle worker, you do not have to get a doctoral degree, become a minister, eat a particular food, or be able to meditate for long hours. All you need to do is to begin to see beauty in your life and those around you. Alan Cohen: if you're not doing something with your life, then it doesn't matter how long you live. If you're doing something with your life, then it doesn't matter how short your life may be. A life is not measured by years lived, but by its usefulness. If you are giving, loving, serving, helping, encouraging, and adding value to others, then you're living a life that counts. John C. Maxwell: when one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long in disappointment and bitterness at the closed door that we do not expectantly look for and therefore see with pleasure and gratitude the one which has been opened for us. Helen Keller: some periods of our growth are so confusing that we don't even recognize that growth is happening. Those long periods when something inside ourselves seems to be waiting, holding its breath, unsure about what the next step should be, eventually become the periods we wait for it is in those periods that we realize that we are being prepared for the next phase of our life, and that, in all probability, a new level of the personality is about to be revealed. Alice Walker: nobody grows old by merely living a number of years. People grow old only by deserting their ideals. Years may wrinkle the skin, but to give up interest wrinkles the soul. Worry, doubt, self-distrust, fear and despair, these are the long years that bow the head and turn the growing spirit back to dust. Whatever your years, there is in every being's heart the love of wonder, the undaunted challenge of events, the unfailing childlike appetite for what next, and the joy in the game of life. Douglas MacArthur: just remember, without discipline, a clear strategy, and a concise plan, the speculator will fall into all the emotional pitfalls of the market, jump from one stock to another, hold a losing position too long, and cut out of a winner too soon, for no reason other than fear of losing profit. Greed, fear, impatience, ignorance, and hope will all fight for mental dominance over the speculator. Then, after a few failures and catastrophes, the speculator may become demoralized, depressed, despondent, and abandon the market and the chance to make a fortune from what the market has to offer. Jesse Lauriston Livermore: time is too slow for those who wait, too swift for those who fear, too long for those who grieve, too short for those who rejoice, but for those who love, time is eternity. Henry Van Dyke: if we keep this question in mind while planning our days, we will see that we actually have countless opportunities to add to our life force. Being around people and places we love and doing things that give us deep satisfaction. Taking time to digest the events in our lives. Being less busy, telling the truth, laughing a lot, eating right, exercising regularly, having long talks with those we love. These are among the best ways to nourish our vitality. Our life force thrives when we are completely engaged in the present moment. Debbie Ford.
Sometimes I feel like I don't belong anywhere, and it's gonna take so long for me to get to somewhere. Sometimes I feel so heavy-hearted, but I can't explain 'cause I'm so guarded. But that's a lonely road to travel, and a heavy load to bear. And it's a long, long way to heaven, but I gotta get there. Can you send an angel? Can you send me an angel to guide me? Alicia Keys.
Riches, prestige, everything can be lost. But the happiness in your heart can only be dimmed. It will always be there as long as you live, to make you happy again. Whenever you're feeling lonely or sad, try going to the loft on a beautiful day and looking outside. Not at the houses and the rooftops, but at the sky. As long as you can look fearlessly at the sky, you'll know that you're pure within and will find happiness once more. Anne Frank. Long quotes about happiness. Every form has its own meaning. Every man creates his meaning and form and goal. Why is it so important, what others have done? Why does it become sacred by the mere fact of not being your own? Why is anyone and everyone right, so long as it's not yourself? Why does the number of those others take the place of truth? Why is truth made a mere matter of arithmetic, and only of addition at that? Why is everything twisted out of all sense to fit everything else? There must be some reason. I don't know. I've never known it. I'd like to understand. Ayn Rand. Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Calvin Coolidge. When one door closes, another opens. But we often look so long and so regretfully upon the closed door that we do not see the one which is open for us. Alexander Graham Bell. When we enter the landscape to learn something, we are obligated, I think, to pay attention rather than constantly to pose questions. To approach the land as we would a person, by opening an intelligent conversation. And to stay in one place, to make of that one long observation a fully dilated experience. We will always be rewarded if we give the land credit for more than we imagine, and if we imagine it as being more complex even than language. In these ways we begin, I think, to find a home, to sense how to fit a place. Barry Lopez. Stars die and reborn. They get so hot that the nuclei of the atoms fuse together deep within them to make the oxygen we breathe, the carbon in our muscles, the calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood. All was cooked in the fiery hearts of long-vanished stars. The cosmos is also within us. We're made of star stuff. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Security is mostly a superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. Life is either a daring adventure, or nothing. Helen Keller. It does not matter how many tumbles you have in this life, so long as you do not get dirty when you tumble. It is only the people who have to stop to be washed and made clean, who must necessarily lose the race. And I can assure you that there is the greatest practical benefit in making a few failures early in life. You learn that which is of inestimable importance. Thomas Huxley. If it were possible to transfer the methods of physical or of biological science directly to the study of man, the transfer would long ago have been made. We have failed not for lack of hypotheses which equate man with the rest of the universe, but for lack of a hypothesis, short of animism, which provides for the peculiar divergence of man. Let me now state my belief that the peculiar factor in man which forbids our explaining his actions upon the ordinary plane of biology is a highly specialized and unstable biological complex, and that this factor is none other than language. Leonard Bloomfield. As long as people have been on this earth, the moon has been a mystery to us. Think about it. She is strong enough to pull the oceans, and when she dies away, she always comes back again. My mama used to tell me Our Lady lived on the moon and that I should dance when her face was bright and hibernate when it was dark. Sue Monk Kid. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. Friedrich Nietzsche. Several times I asked myself, can it be that I have overlooked something? That there is something which I have failed to understand? Is it not possible that this state of despair is common to everyone? And I searched for an answer to my questions in every area of knowledge acquired by man. For a long time I carried on my painstaking search. I did not search casually, out of mere curiosity, but painfully, persistently, day and night, like a dying man seeking salvation. I found nothing. Leo Tolstoy. Several times I asked myself, can it be that I have overlooked something? That there is something which I have failed to understand? Is it not possible that this state of despair is common to everyone? And I searched for an answer to my questions in every area of knowledge acquired by man. For a long time I carried on my painstaking search. I did not search casually, out of mere curiosity, but painfully, persistently, day and night, like a dying man seeking salvation. I found nothing. Leo Tolstoy. Often I hear people say they do not have time to read. That's absolute nonsense. If one really wants to learn, one has to decide what is important. Spending an evening on the town, attending a ball game, or learning something that can be with you your life long. Louis L'Amour. If you live long enough, you'll make mistakes. But if you learn from them, you'll be a better person. It's how you handle adversity, not how it affects you. The main thing is never quit, never quit, never quit. William J. Clinton. It might be a kind of relief to be finished. You have to start all over again. But I believe you're always as good as your potential. I live in my work and in a few relationships with the few people I can really count on. Fame will go by, and, so long, I've had you fame. If it goes by, I've always known it was fickle. So at least it's something I experienced, but that's not where I live. Marilyn Monroe. What I like about cooking is that, so long as you follow the recipe exactly, everything always turns out perfect. It's too bad there's no recipe for happiness. Happiness is more like pastry, which is to say that you can take pains to keep cool and not overwork the dough. But if you don't have that certain light touch, your best efforts still fall flat. The workaround is to buy what you need. I'm talking about pastry, not happiness, although money does make things easier all around. Josh Lanyon. I have never seen one who really loves goodness or one who really hates wickedness. One who really loves goodness will not place anything above it. One who really hates wickedness will practice goodness in such a way that wickedness will have no chance to get at him. Is there anyone who has devoted his whole strength to doing good for even as long as a single day? I have not seen anyone give up such an attempt because he had not the strength to go on. Perhaps there is such a case, but I have never seen it. Confucius: the one thing a writer has to have is a pencil and some paper. That's enough, so long as she knows that she and she alone is in charge of that pencil, and responsible, she and she alone, for what it writes on that paper. Ursula K. Le Guin: civilization has taught man how to live in dense crowds, and by that very fact those crowds are likely ultimately to constitute a majority of the world's population. Already there are many who prefer this crowded life, but there are others who do not, and these will gradually be eliminated. Life in the crowded conditions of cities has many unattractive features, but in the long run these may be overcome, not so much by altering them, but simply by changing the human race into liking them. Charles Galton Darwin: imagine how our lives might be if everyone had even a bit more of the wisdom that comes from seeing clearly. Suppose people everywhere, simultaneously, stopped what they were doing and paid attention for only as long as it took to recognize their shared humanity. Surely the heartbreak of the world's pain, visible to all, would convert everyone to kindness. What a gift that would be! Sylvia Borston: in the old days people never bothered about what others did, so long as they were free to do what they liked themselves. Today, one cannot sneeze without being corrected, let alone enjoy oneself. That's what politics have done to our society. Tunku Abdul Rahman: one summer day, while I was walking along the country road on the farm where I was born, a section of the stone wall opposite me, and not more than 3 or 4 yards distant, suddenly fell down. Amid the general stillness and immobility about me, the effect was quite startling. It was the sudden summing up of half a century or more of atomic changes in the material of the wall. A grain or two of sand yielded to the pressure of long years, and gravity did the rest. John Burroughs: now is the time to get serious about living your ideals. Once you have determined the spiritual principles you wish to exemplify, abide by these rules as if they were laws, as if it were indeed sinful to compromise them. Don't mind if others don't share your convictions. How long can you afford to put off who you really want to be? Your nobler self cannot wait any longer. Epictetus: when the sun sets, shadows, that showed at noon but small, appear most long and terrible. So, when we think fate hovers o'er our heads, our apprehensions shoot beyond all bounds. Owls, ravens, crickets seem the watch of death. Nature's worst vermin scare her godlike sons. Echoes the very leavings of a voice, grow babbling ghosts, and call us to our graves. Each molehill thought swells to a huge Olympus, while we fantastic dreamers heave and puff, and sweat with an imagination's wet. John Dryden: life is beautiful, as long as it consumes you. When it is rushing through you, destroying you, life is gorgeous, glorious. It's when you burn a slow fire and save fuel, that life's not worth having. D.H. Lawrence: it doesn't matter who you are or what you look like, so long as somebody loves you. Roald Dahl: when life is hard and the day has been long, the ideal dinner is not 4 perfect courses, each in a lovely pool of sauce whose ambrosial flavors are like nothing ever before tasted, but rather something comforting and savory, easy on the digestion, something that makes one feel, if even for only a minute, that one is safe. Laurie Colwin: Before we can count, we are taught to be grateful for what others do. As we are broken open by our experience, we begin to be grateful for what is, and if we live long enough and deep enough and authentically enough, gratitude becomes a way of life. Mark Nepo. Time plays like an accordion in the way it can stretch out and compress itself in 1,000 melodic ways. Months on end may pass blindingly in a quick series of chords, open shut, together apart, and then a single melancholy week may seem like a year's binding, one long unfolding note. Julia Glass. I write very raw, ugly, illiterate first drafts very quickly. Novels are always in first draft in under a year, and then I spend years and years fine-tuning, revising, editing, etc. What inspires me? Who knows? I am not inspired that much. That's why I write long-form fiction. I am not much of a short story writer. Ideas come seldom, but when a good one comes, I really stick to it and see it out. I'm a problem solver. I've never thrown out an entire manuscript. I've always forced myself to repair it until it was a lovable thing again. Poor Ochistacock. Poor. That peace, safety, and concord may be the portion of our native land, and be long enjoyed by our fellow citizens, is the most ardent wish of my heart, and if I can be instrumental in procuring or preserving them, I shall think I have not lived in vain. Thomas Jefferson. Climbing is this long-term, lifelong journey. It's really important to just take your time with it and keep it fun. I've seen a lot of people burn out because it starts becoming this job for them. It stops being fun. For me, it's been really important to keep it enjoyable. Listen to your motivation. Chris Sharma. In a word, learning is decontextualized. We break ideas down into tiny pieces that bear no relation to the whole. We give students a brick of information, followed by another brick, followed by another brick, until they are graduated, at which point we assume they have a house. What they have is a pile of bricks, and they don't have it for long. Alfie Kohn. There are times for all of us when all the laughter seems to be gone. But we should not permit these periods to last too long. When we've lost our sense of humor, there isn't very much left. We become ridiculous. We must then go to war against the whole world, and that's a war we cannot win. Earl Nightingale. As long as I live, I'll hear waterfalls and birds and winds sing. I'll interpret the rocks, learn the language of flood, storm, and the avalanche. I'll acquaint myself with the glaciers and wild gardens, and get as near the heart of the world as I can. John Muir. Be careful, you are not in Wonderland. I've heard the strange madness long growing in your soul. But you are fortunate in your ignorance, in your isolation. You who have suffered, find where love hides. Give, share, lose, lest we die, unbloomed. Austin Bunn. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Helen Keller. Have enough faith in the love of God to believe that a short heartfelt prayer is just as good as a long one. Too long a session of prayer usually means that in your heart you really doubt the love of God, and think that a great deal of effort and toil will be necessary to move Him. Pray quietly and sincerely for a reasonable time and then leave the matter, expecting success. Emmett Fox. When I recollect the treasure of friendship that has been bestowed upon me, I withdraw all charges against life. If much has been denied me, much, very much has been given. So long as the memory of certain beloved friends lives in my heart, I shall say that life is good. Helen Keller, the real wealth of a nation is its people. And the purpose of development is to create an enabling environment for people to enjoy long, healthy, and creative lives. This simple but powerful truth is too often forgotten in the pursuit of material and financial wealth. Mahbub Haq, God has promised to every single one of us that even in our hardest times, if we would just hang on long enough, the blessing will come. Beth Moore, this long run is a misleading guide to current affairs. In the long run we are all dead. Economists set themselves too easy, too useless a task if in tempestuous seasons they can only tell us that when the storm is long past the ocean is flat again. John Maynard Keynes, a bird painted not with beauty but with all the dirt and wounds collected in a long hard life, in battle, in love, with torn feathers and a busted leg and a chipped beak and one of its eyes half closed, and yet a bird of deeper loveliness for all of that. Jeff New, were the walls of our meat industry to become transparent, literally or even figuratively, we would not long continue to raise, kill, and eat animals the way we do. Michael Pollan, as long as you have the courage to admit mistakes, things can be turned around. Haruki Murakami, what we really have to do is take a day and sit down and think. The world is not going to end or fall apart. Jobs won't be lost. Kids will not run crazy in one day. Lovers won't stop speaking to you. Husbands and wives are not going to disappear. Just take that one day and think. Don't read. Don't write. No television. No radio. No distractions. Sit down and think. Go sit in a church, or in the park, or take a long walk and think. Call it a healing day. Maya Angelou, I find that when one has worked long enough, technical know-how becomes almost irrelevant. In photography, it's not difficult to reach a technical level where you don't need to think about the technique anymore. I think there is far too much literature and far too much emphasis upon the techniques of photography. The make of camera and type of film we happen to use has little bearing on the results. Michael Kenna, strange combination, isn't it gratitude and resentment? But this is the way I think. Actually, I think everybody thinks that way. Even the children of the humans who died long ago, I think they lived their lives holding similar contradictory thoughts about their parents. They were raised to learn about love and death, and they lived out their lives passing from the sunny spots to the shady spots of this world. Otsuichi, as with men, it has always seemed to me that books have their own peculiar destinies. They go towards the people who are waiting for them and reach them at the right moment. They are made of living material and continue to cast light through the darkness long after the death of their authors. Miguel Serrano, the gentle rain which waters my beans and keeps me in the house today is not drear and melancholy, but good for me too. Though it prevents my hoeing them, it is of far more worth than my hoeing. If it should continue so long as to cause the seeds to rot in the ground and destroy the potatoes in the lowlands, it would still be good for the grass on the uplands, and, being good for the grass, would be good for me, too. Henry David Thoreau, we have three roles here on earth: to learn, to love, and to live. When we stop learning, we start to stagnate and die. When we stop loving, we lose our sense of purpose and become self-centered. When we limit our living, we deny the world the benefits of our talents. Jim Cathcart, taking responsibility, practicing 100% responsibility every day, is about seeing ourselves not as right or wrong, but as an agent, chooser, problem solver, and learner in the complex interrelationships of our lives so that we can better integrate with the people and world around us. When we do this, we enjoy a better and more productive way to live and lead. Christopher Avery. Simplicity requires a two-step process. First, we must invest time and energy to discover what stirs us as human beings, what makes our hearts sing, and what brings us joy. Then, we must proceed to create the life that reflects the unique people we truly are. This is the heart and soul of simplicity. Linda Breen Pierce. Choosing Simplicity, a life portfolio offers a compelling alternative to traditional retirement. It is a new way of thinking and living in extended middle age. A typical portfolio is a balanced mix of some work, ongoing learning, recreation, travel and avocations, reconnecting with family and friends, and giving back. Michael Jeans. The foundation stones of honesty, character, faith, integrity, love, and loyalty are necessary for a balanced success that includes health, wealth, and happiness. As you go onward and upward in life, you will discover that if you compromise any of these principles, you will end up with only a beggar's portion of what life has to offer. Zig Ziglar. You, yourself, not someone else, need to determine where you want to go and what you want to do in your life. And once you make that decision, you can begin mapping a plan to get there and focusing on that objective every single day. Squire Rushnell. When God winks on new beginnings, life is a gamble from minute to minute, so play it today for all there is in it. The flick of an eyelash, the quirk of a smile, a good deed here and there makes it all worthwhile. So make life a garden for every day and gather your rosebuds while you may. P. MacDonald. Oftentimes in life, what is easy to do is not worth it. Sure, crashing on the couch and watching the newest episode of your favorite show is a pleasurable experience, but it is bad input and it will not help you advance much in the road to success. Amar Hasik. Entrepreneur Royale. One of the most important secrets of life that will be more contented is the act of gratitude and being grateful for the things you have in your life. It is so natural to get caught on the continually needing more prepare, that we don't stop to welcome the things that we have now. Adam Green. The first step to make a change in your life, to get what you want from life, to make your life better, is to first specifically decide what it is you want. Unless you know what you want, you will never arrive because you have no final destination. Catherine Pulsifer. One of the really bad things you can do to your writing is to dress up the vocabulary. Looking for long words because you're maybe a little bit ashamed of your short ones. This is like dressing up a household pet in evening clothes. The pet is embarrassed and the person who committed this act of premeditated cuteness should be even more embarrassed. Stephen King. Never use a metaphor, simile, or other figure of speech which you are used to seeing in print. Never use a long word where a short one will do. If it is possible to cut a word out, always cut it out. Never use the passive voice where you can use the active. Never use a foreign phrase, a scientific word, or a jargon word if you can think of an everyday English equivalent. Break any of these rules sooner than say anything outright barbarous. George Orwell. It's not unsporting to thrash a cowardly cat, said Simmons. Everyone knows you don't fight like a gentleman. That might be called an oxymoron, Ramses said. Oh, sorry. Bad form to use long words. Look it up when you get home. The poor devil didn't know how to fight, like a gentleman or otherwise. Barbara Mertz. A panda walks into a cafe. He orders a sandwich, eats it, then draws a gun and fires 2 shots into the air. Why? Asks the confused waiter, as the panda makes toward the exit. The panda produces a badly punctuated wildlife manual and tosses it over his shoulder. "I'm a panda," he says, at the door. "Look it up." The waiter turns to the relevant entry, and, sure enough, finds an explanation. Panda. Large black and white bear-like mammal, native to China. Eats, shoots and leaves. Lynn Truss. Over the years, mostly in retrospect, I learned a variety of lessons, and one of the most important is this: you can't hit a target you can't see. You can't accomplish wonderful things with your life if you have no idea of what they are. You must first become absolutely clear about what you want if you are serious about unlocking the extraordinary power that lies within you. Brian Tracy. Maximum achievement. Well, start waving and yelling, because it is the so-called Oxford comma, and it is a lot more dangerous than its exclusive ivory tower moniker might suggest. There are people who embrace the Oxford comma and people who don't, and I'll just say this: never get between these people when drink has been taken. Oh, the Oxford comma. Here, in case you don't know what it is yet, is the perennial example, as espoused by Harold Ross: the flag is red, white, and blue. So what do you think of it? Are you for or against it? Do you hover in between? Lynn Truss. Offense is so easily given. And where the minority issue is involved, the rules seem to shift about. Most of the time a person who is female/black/disabled/gay wants this not to be their defining characteristic. You are supposed to be blind to it. But then, on other occasions, you are supposed to observe special sensitivity, or show special respect. Lynn Truss. Through a long and painful process, I've learned that happiness is an inside job, not based on anything or anyone in the outer material world. I've become a different and better person, not perfect, but still a work in progress. Alana Stewart. No matter what kind of challenges or difficulties or painful situations you go through in your life, we all have something deep within us that we can reach down and find the inner strength to get through them. Work hard for what you want because it won't come to you without a fight. You have to be strong and courageous and know that you can do anything you put your mind to. If somebody puts you down or criticizes you, just keep on believing in yourself and turn it into something positive. Lee LaBelle. I truly believe that everything that we do and everyone that we meet is put in our path for a purpose. There are no accidents. We're all teachers, if we're willing to pay attention to the lessons we learn. Trust our positive instincts and not be afraid to take risks or wait for some miracle to come knocking at our door. Marla Gibbs. Lee LaBelle.
As long as you as an individual can convince yourself that in order to move forward as best you can, you have to be optimistic, you can be described as one of the faithful, one of those people who can say, well, look, something's going to happen. Let's just keep trying. Let's not give up. Tom Hanks.
A wise person once said, life is not happening to you. Life is responding to you. Author unknown. This is absolutely true. You dictate what life hands you. If you make up your mind to be successful, odds are, you will be. Ace McLeod. Sail. Every day, think as you wake up. Today I am fortunate to be alive. I have a precious human life. I am not going to waste it. I am going to use all my energies to develop myself, to expand my heart out to others, to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. I am going to have kind thoughts towards others. I am not going to get angry or think badly about others. I am going to benefit others as much as I can. Dalai Lama. Everybody wants to be famous, but nobody wants to do the work. I live by that. You grind hard so you can play hard. At the end of the day, you put all the work in, and eventually it'll pay off. It could be in a year, it could be in 30 years. Eventually, your hard work will pay off. Kevin Hart. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. But the only thing you can't do is ignore them because they changed things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Steve Jobs. The way I see it, every life is a pile of good things and bad things. The good things don't always soften the bad things, but vice versa. The bad things don't always spoil the good things and make them unimportant. Doctor Who. All des governments and this and that. These people that say they're here to help, why them say you cannot smoke the herb. Herb is a plant, you know? And when me check it, me can't find no reason. All them say is, it make you rebel. Against what? Bob Marley. Babylon is everywhere. You have wrong and you have right. Wrong is what we call Babylon, wrong things. That is what Babylon is to me. I could have born in England, I could have born in America, it make no difference where me born, because there is Babylon everywhere. Bob Marley. If you're white and you're wrong, then you're wrong. If you're black and you're wrong, you're wrong. People are people. Black, blue, pink, green. God make no rules about color. Only society make rules where my people suffer, and that why we must have redemption and redemption now. Bob Marley. Ever since I was a child I have had this instinctive urge for expansion and growth. To me, the function and duty of a quality human being is the sincere and honest development of one's potential. Bruce Lee. I am learning to understand rather than immediately judge or to be judged. I cannot blindly follow the crowd and accept their approach. I will not allow myself to indulge in the usual manipulating game of role creation. Fortunately for me, my self-knowledge has transcended that, and I have come to understand that life is best to be lived and not to be conceptualized. I am happy because I am growing daily and I am honestly not knowing where the limit lies. To be certain, every day there can be a revelation or a new discovery. I treasure the memory of the past misfortunes. It has added more to my bank of fortitude. Bruce Lee. Fall forward. Here's what I mean. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs. Fall forward. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't either, because number 1001 was the light bulb. Fall forward. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. Denzel Washington. In marriage, if you're a guy, learn 2 phrases. One is yes, dear, and the other is honey, you're right. Be patient. Be good friends first. And stick together. You gotta work at it. It's not all a honeymoon. It's not all flowers and roses. But if you're friends and partners and committed, you'll be okay. And everybody's got advice for you. Don't listen. Denzel Washington. For millions of years, mankind lived just like the animals. Then something happened which unleashed the power of our imagination. We learned to talk and we learned to listen. Speech has allowed the communication of ideas, enabling human beings to work together to build the impossible. Mankind's greatest achievements have come about by talking, and its greatest failures by not talking. It doesn't have to be like this. Our greatest hopes could become reality in the future. With the technology at our disposal, the possibilities are unbounded. All we need to do is make sure we keep talking. Stephen Hawking. The role played by time at the beginning of the universe is, I believe, the final key to removing the need for a grand designer, and revealing how the universe created itself. Time itself must come to a stop. You can't get to a time before the Big Bang, because there was no time before the Big Bang. We have finally found something that does not have a cause because there was no time for a cause to exist in. For me, this means there is no possibility of a creator because there is no time for a creator to have existed. Since time itself began at the moment of the Big Bang, it was an event that could not have been caused or created by anyone or anything. So when people ask me if a God created the universe, I tell them the question itself makes no sense. Time didn't exist before the Big Bang, so there is no time for God to make the universe in. It's like asking for directions to the edge of the Earth. The Earth is a sphere. It does not have an edge, so looking for it is a futile exercise. Stephen W. Hawking. You can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. This approach has never let me down, and it has made all the difference in my life. Steve Jobs. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. Steve Jobs. If you don't get what you want, you suffer. If you get what you don't want, you suffer. Even when you get exactly what you want, you still suffer because you can't hold on to it forever. Your mind is your predicament. It wants to be free of change, free of pain, free of the obligations of life and death. But change is law, and no amount of pretending will alter that reality. Socrates. The children now love luxury, they have bad manners, contempt for authority, they show disrespect for elders and love chatter in place of exercise. Children are now tyrants, not the servants of their households. They no longer rise when elders enter the room. They contradict their parents, chatter before company, gobble up dainties at the table, cross their legs, and tyrannize their teachers. Socrates. The secret of happiness, you see, is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. Socrates. When you have a dream, you've got to grab it and never let go. Carol Burnett. I just want you to know that if you are out there and you are being really hard on yourself right now for something that has happened, it's normal. That is what is going to happen to you in life. No one gets through unscathed. We are all going to have a few scratches on us. Please be kind to yourselves and stand up for yourself. please. Taylor Swift.